Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and I've just recovered from a short bout of sneezing. And now it's time for some more of Steve Jackson's Sorcery, and yes, it was important to mention the sneezing because I'm still getting over it and they might come back. So, we have arrived at this delightful tower. Where's Rapunzel when you need her? I don't see a door, I don't see any stairs. I don't even see a trapdoor on the roof. There's a great big telescope. It's an observatory of some kind to look out over the lands. And we have been informed that this is a place we can move between the two worlds, the old and the new. And that the fire serpent is chasing us and intends to assail us when we rest. We also know that it is vulnerable to sand, or possibly quicksand. I believe... Oh, a pouch of sand. There we go then. So I think I've got that one in hand. The fire serpent... Go away. There we go. Vulnerable to sand, yes. Will it turn it into glass so it can be shattered? So, I wanted to say, before continuing, remember this cave halfway down the cliff that we weren't able to interact with because of all the broken steps? Maybe now, in the past version of the Baklands, so the Badlands of the Baklands, because we can literally go back in time in them. If I could find a way back here, in the past time period as opposed to the present, then I might be able to get up to that cave. I don't believe I'm going to get the chance. I also believe that I should have taken the opportunity to go over here before coming up here to the tower, but here I am now. You head out across the prairie. The moon sets, more stars appear, a tall shadow looms, and as you approach, you discover it is a tower, standing proud amid the wasteland. I will look up at the tower. Its sides are too smooth to be natural, and yet there are no stones or brickwork. It looked like there was brickwork in the picture. It is like a gigantic game piece, carved from a single block of stone. You can make out little more about the tower in the dark. Feeling for the stones of the tower, however, you find it is covered in shaggy gripweed, hooked deeply into the cracks between the stones. What happened to it being carved from a single block of stone? Oh, it is like a gigantic game piece carved from it. So it isn't made from a single block of stone. It's as if it was... I was like, it's like a gigantic game piece, comma, carved from a single block of stone, as in it is this because this. But no. It's still the like. It's still the... It's a metaphor or a simile. One is where you say it's like something, and the other one is where you're saying it literally is something, even though it isn't. The word like should make it really obvious, and it's been about 25 years since I knew the answer to this one, so I really don't need to know right now. You can make out little more about the tower in the dark. Feeling for the stones of the tower, have you? Yeah, shaggy gripweed. I'll walk around the tower. I don't know what I know about gripweed. You walk around the tower looking for a door, but find nothing. Perhaps it is simply hard to see in the dark. I have spells. I have probably not got what I need. And nip? No. No big. Sus. I could sense there's no danger coming. Then when I rest, there could be danger coming. I could have sworn I clicked on the H there. Here. Yeah. H. H. This is an H. Look, you. That. There we go. How? Well, I mean, I think so far it's pretty obvious how I'm supposed to get up there. DSHN. So. Nip would make me fast. Dop would be great if there was an actual door to target it at. As I don't know if there even is one, there might not be one, so that's a bit of a waste. Sus, sense danger. How? The direct path. I think this is a no magic required situation. Climb up or move on. The weed seems to grow all the way to the top, and its roots are firmly anchored into a million tiny cracks in the stone. Will it give me a nasty rash or something? Climb the gripweed. Will it grip me? Oh, he's in a climbing animation now. I like that. Look at that there. He's just clinging on for dear life. You must trust your hands in the darkness. Quickly, you grab the gripweed and scramble up the outside of the tower. The roots of the plant offer plenty of footholds, and the ascent is easy enough. Soon you are hauling yourself over the battlements onto the top of the tower. At which point we'll probably no longer be climbing. And I was correct. You stand atop the tower. The wind across the grassland whips at your hood, and the ground seems like an endless green sea far below. But the top is not empty. Indeed, there is barely room to stand. Most of the floor space is taken up by a large brass contraption that has been built into the middle of the roof. I will look at the contraption on the tower. I mean, I'd like to rest up here, and I don't want to climb down. This tower was clearly built to house the brass contraption in the centre of the turret. You look it over with curious interest. A large brass cylinder, it is set into a bearing in the centre of the tower, and it protrudes a short way over the battlement. It's rather like one of the chief mage's telescopes, but why would anyone set such a complex device out here in the wastes? Probably to look out for danger, but I'll look through it. You crouch to look through the cylinder, but find you cannot, as it has no eyepiece. The near end disappears unbroken into the brass mounting of the device. The bearing underneath the cylinder looks as though it might allow the contraption to move. Furthermore, set in the central dome is an impressive-looking blue crystal. I will look at the crystal. The blue crystal is not a gem you recognize. It pulses with a small interior glow, as though something lived inside. I'm not going to remove it as it's part of the contraption. I will move the cylinder. You push the cylinder and it swivels around the top of the tower, moving quite easily as though recently oiled. Nothing else appears to happen, however. Is that how I move between the worlds? Moving the device? I'm not sure I should take the crystal. But I'm not going to have many other options. So, FD. That's not a D, is it, game? Come on. I click the D, you give me an S. Okay, fine. Why do you let me put the D in first position if you won't let me have a second? Is the D supposed to come later on? That's just bizarre. Oh yes, that would be very wise. Would also keep me in this time, however. Sus. Yes, suspect danger. Absolutely. Fog? Darkness. Force field. Don't need either of those things, particularly at the moment. But yeah, a little protection from magic can't do any harm. You weave the enchantment and a veil of magical protection shimmers into place around you, just in case something really nasty happens to me when I take the crystal. You touch the crystal, but as your fingertips brush the glass, something happens and you feel yourself whipped up into the air as though catapulted. For a dizzy moment, you seem to stare down at the entire land of Badubak. Then a moment later, you're at your feet, head reeling but feeling curiously powerful. I'll touch the crystal again. You reach out to touch the crystal again, only to catch yourself. The blue crystal on the contraption is flashing brilliantly, and then suddenly the cylinder ignites with a thick beam of syrupy light. The beam floods across the landscape, cutting through the mist and warping the view like a heat haze. I am hopefully protected and... Oh, it's literally gone like the heat haze, okay. The land in the light of the beam has changed. It seems the magic you witnessed earlier is happening again. The nearby river tosses out reflected starlight. I'll look at the beam before I adjust it. Careful not to touch the light, you examine the beam. It seems to come into focus a few cubits from the edge of the tower and then floods outwards, changing the very colour of the air as it goes. On the ground you see dusty sand beneath its light with grass growing on either side. This must be the beacon that Shadrach mentioned. I will absolutely adjust the beam. Do I literally get to... Oh, hello. Yes. Yes, show me. Where do I want... I want past. Over here, right? With the cave. Yeah, look at that. You adjust the beam around its track, sweeping light over the land below. And then I'll climb down the tower. Is that where I want it? I like where it's rotated there as well. With the beacon blazing away, you swing yourself over the battlement once more. After an uncertain moment, you find the gripweed and clamber swiftly down. This was probably a great big mistake, and there's probably somewhere else I should have really put it. You scramble down the tower and drop the last few feet to ground level. Well then. South of here, the ground runs from west to east across the plain. Okay, so we got the whirlpool, we got the road. I can go to the whirlpool. I want to go over here. So, yeah. I'm sensing I can't cut across here and that I'd have to go around. Oh! Should I have focused it on this? Well, it's kind of in the same part, so... You walk on across the prairie. Rocky outcrops break the ground here and there, and as the trail rises, you are soon walking on bare stone. Your veil of magical protection shimmers out of existence. The cold night lingers on. Rocks litter the path. You are back by the pool of whirling air. Move on. You continue to walk through the dark, but which way? Absolutely this way, back to the Fishtail Rock. You make your way over the grass-covered rocks and boulders, following the trail where you can and scrambling the rest of the way. The sky is already beginning to warm in the east. Once again, you see the distinctive fishtail rock sticking up from the earth, but there is no sign of Shadrach the Hermit. The fire outside the cave has burned down to black embers. No, I'm just resting the cave. Sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. You make your way inside the cave and find a dark and safe corner. Setting down your pack on the rocks, you try to stretch out despite the wind. Thankfully, you are not hungry. I should have probably used the light to cover my advance rather than this rearward direction. You lie back and try to forget your troubles. You feel quite safe here and you do not dream. During the past day, you reached the pit of the Baklands and met Shadrach the Hermit. That's fine. When morning comes, you step back out into the empty plain. Sunlight falls into the cave mouth, picking out the message carved on the wall. No, that's alright, I'm moving on. East of the Badubak Ridge lie the Clatterback Steps, which you must cross to reach the lake. Yeah, I could probably have used the telescope to unblock the rockfall here. But hey, I've got somewhere to go, right? You pick your way carefully over the rocks to the edge of the road. A few clouds scud across the sky. The road is now well paved and bears the marks of many travellers, right down to steaming piles of cattle dung. Someone seems to have dropped a package here. Well, I'll take a look at it. It might even be something good. You look down at the package. It is a cloth-wrapped parcel from which comes a strong smell of uncooked fish. A cart rolls past without stopping. I will take the package. You pick up the parcel. The fish appear to be in good condition and must have fallen from a cart only a few hours before. But where is there to find fresh fish out here? Raw fish must be cooked before it will serve as a ration. You continue along the well-paved road. I absolutely do. Ooh, we're in a bit of present here. The line of the road curves gently as you follow it. The surface begins to crack underfoot. Weeds break through as the stones crack. Soon the roadway is lost under a layer of fine dust. The sun continues to climb the steep sky. A road this wide must have once carried carts and wagons, but where to? You stride on and back into the past once again. So, yes, to the cliff. Oh, or just the road. The road to the... Yeah. The road to the steps makes much more sense. You follow the road back to the edge of the cliff. The sun has reached its highest point now. Out of the shade, the air is baking hot. The grass meadow ends by the cliff base and the carved stone steps that lead away from the Baklands, which I shall now climb. You haul yourself onto the first of the gigantic steps that leads up the cliff face. And halfway up... Come on now. Come on. You clamber up the carved rock. Then, about halfway up, you pause to rest near the entrance to a cave. The path to the cave had collapsed in the present, but now it's there in the past. And I did say I suspected there'd be a way to get back in here. I hope I have not wasted my journey. The cave is clearly inhabited. A cloth hangs across its opening. Well then, I will go and greet its inhabitant if they are with... Oh, that's a big cave. You push back the cloth hanging you push back the cloth hanging and enter the cave. Hello? Is there anybody in there? In there? I'm armed. Welcome, murmurs a voice from the shadows at the far end of the space. I'd ask who's there, but I'm sure I'm about to find out if they've introduced themselves. Greetings. You reply politely. You hear footsteps padding forward over the sand, and then a shambling figure appears. A woman with crazed white hair wearing rags of animal skins. You, she says with a quiet laugh. I had no idea I would see you again. The voice is old and cracked, and you do not recognize it. Is this Aliana, the witch? She's supposed to be somewhere in this book, but I don't think this near the beginning. I think she's further in. Do you know me? You ask. Of course, she replies. You have not changed a bit. Were I so young, I was rather in love with you, as I recall. With that, she steps forward once more, coming into the thin moonlight at the entrance of the cave. She is an old woman, bent almost double, but with shining, intelligent eyes. You do not know her face. Elfira, she says. My name. I don't believe I know you yet. She cocks her head and frowns. But I know you. I'm sure of it. Her eyes search your face for some pity, and her smile begins to fade. Or Perhaps I am mistaken. You are mistaken? We have never met. Perhaps I do not recognize you. You reply with kindness. Perhaps, she says sadly. It has been many years, after all. She shrugs sadly. But welcome all the same. Perhaps you are thirsty. From the corner of the cave, she produces a jug which has been catching water dripping down the stone. Thank you. I don't think... Well, she has more time here than Shadrach the Hermit did, right? She pours you a cup and you drink gratefully and quickly feel thoroughly refreshed. What is going on here? This land is lost, she replies. The very soil has been cursed, and all who walk upon it are victim. I stay in my cave now, but it doesn't do much good. How can I cross the Baklands? You ask. You must know these lands well after so many years of life. There was a bridge there, and a river, she replies. A grand bridge, quite ancient. I used to climb it and drop sticks over one side. Oh, she played poo sticks. So, wait. We're inside the cave, right? And if the light of the beacon doesn't enter into the cave, is the cave in the present and the path outside leading to it in the past? In which case, I'm trying to work out a way that she could know me from the past and I could actually be the person that she thinks I am. Which would be me, obviously. Is there no other way? The sorceress Bria lives in the old volcano, Elphira replies. She has a way she uses to expel those she dislikes, but I do not believe she has a way back. The woman coughs. You're a sorcerer, are you not? She asks. I am. She nods. There is a secret known only to the most powerful sorcerers in this land. The sorcerers of the fortress know it, I'm sure, but they have tried to keep it a secret. Would you like to hear it? Oh, indeed I would. We sorcerers live for secrets. You reply with a nod. Elphira nods in return. It is said, you see, that sorcery is unstoppably powerful. The sorcerers tell us that magic controls the world's very warp and weft, that once woven, a spell cannot be unwound. The claim is bold, but I have learned it is also untrue. What do you mean? Magic, some magic, perhaps all magic, can be countered, just as the parrying blade can stop a sword. I have discovered one such counterspell already. The spell of healing opposes the enchantment of the fireball. I believe if one can recognize the spell being cast and one knows the form, then one can prevent that spell when with the cast of the other. This counterspell has been recorded in your spellbook. Let me see. Is it actually... Let's see. Hot. So would it be TOH? Nah. I mean, Doc would be the obvious, right? Counters hot. Yes, so it's just been added there as a note. What about the most powerful spells? Can they even be stopped? Yes, quite probably. She shrugs. I have not tested it, but yes, perhaps even the most powerful spell can be undone. As she speaks, she draws a shape in the air. A horizontal line, a diagonal, another line. It is a letter Z. So, what could the Z spell... Now, that may be That is a reference that could be lost on American or German readers who call a Z a Z, even though it's a Z. So, question. Those of us who are well versed in this sorcery know exactly what the Z spell does. Is there a spell that can counteract the Z spell? More importantly, does the Archmage know what the Z spell does? Could he use it, and could we counter him so that he can't use it? If there is no spell which can counter the Z spell, because most people can't recognize it and don't know what it does, then what could the Z spell counter? That's a very good question, and one that probably merits further thought. Why do you live in a cave? You ask. I told you. The curse is in the soil. The woman sits down the woman sits down quite suddenly in a state of some despair. I'll go over to her and try cheer her up a bit. You approach her, hoping to console her, but she does not react to your presence. She does not even blink. The woman murmurs softly to herself, "Oh dear, have I run out of questions? Talk to me," you demand. Her stare doesn't break, but you see her mouth moving. "7 serpents," she mutters. "I can almost see them." I should wait. I should encourage her to tell me about the 7 serpents, but I think she's going to. You settle down to wait for the woman to produce her prophecy, if that is indeed what she is doing, but nothing changes. The old woman breathes nervously and scratches her fingernails across the dusty floor. What is she seeing? It seems it will take her some time. The woman's third eye seems to glow momentarily. This is an opportunity to look around the cave and steal her stuff, but she doesn't have much. Tell me about the 7 serpents. You insist. There is no response. I'm not sure she could have told me much about them earlier either. I'll look around the cave, because... Oh! Stone dust! Sure. You glance around the cave. Elfira has few positions to speak of, but your interest is taken more by the dust that covers the floor. Stone dust can be very valuable for magic. Indeed it can. You scrape together a handful's worth of stone dust between your palms and slip it into your money pouch for safekeeping. You step away from the old woman and look about for where to go next. Then, quite suddenly, she grabs your leg. "I will find them," she hisses, "but it will take some time to search. Come back!" Then her eyes roll into her skull. What, come back here or come back to meet her in the future somewhere? I will head deeper into the cave in the hope that I can come back and visit her again at some point. Stepping carefully past the catatonic woman, you make your way further into the back of the cave. After a narrow passage, it opens out to reveal a wide space lit by torchlight. The walls are covered with scratched writing, curious symbols and glyphs, all in the same shaky hand. A little dust trickles from the ceiling. I will absolutely cast a spell. Sun would make sense. Yap? No yap. How? No, I don't... Well, the ceiling could collapse. Far. I don't have a crystal ball just yet. Rock. Turn something to stone. What, like the roof of the cave? Solidify it? Rock far, how? Sus? Sun, yes, absolutely. Make it easier to read the writing. Consulting the constellations above, you bind the spell until the sun jewel starts to give off a magical white glow. The glow picks out details in the glyphs and carvings on the wall, letting you read several much more clearly. The bridge will fall and the river become a chasm, one reads. I'll read another. You find another that reads, the blood candle must not be lit. I shall read another and hope that the dust falling from the roof is not a warning. You pick out another. Do not eat from the larder of frog. With that, your spell fades and your jewel falls dark once more. Some of the glyphs on the wall are split, you notice, by crazed cracks in the stone. I will look at the cracks. I should probably just cast... Cast Sun again? You look more closely at the cracks in the walls. It is as though the cliff itself is slowly shearing apart. One crack in particular spiders the ceiling and threatens to bring down the roof. Looking more closely, you see why. It is filled with a seam of some soft metal which is slowly wearing away. Jewel of gold, do you say? Cast a spell. Or do you say ceiling falling on my head if I try and dig this out? No. Rock! I could turn the metal into stone to make it less heavy. Okay, no, it's just letting me read these again. I'll look at the glyphs which are broken by the cracks, see if there's anything I can read. Intrigued by the writing, you look over some symbols. They are a mixture of star signs, letters, numbers, and shapes you do not recognize. There is no order. It is as though their scribe was desperately trying to capture as much as possible of a dream before it was forgotten. The results are quite indecipherable, especially in the near darkness, and barely any space is left, only one patch of blank stone near the base of the wall. Can I cast Thoth or Wok before digging? F. No Thoth. Could have really done with a force field here. Okay, wait. We don't need fog. How? Safe. Well, it would just say turn around and walk out the cave, wouldn't it? How rock far sun? How far is this rock from the sun? Well, about 3 planets, apparently. Yeah. So, some would just let us read the messages again. Far, we don't have a crystal ball. Rock turns something into stone. The seam is soft metal, which is slowly wearing away. You dig at the metal seam with your sword. It is worthless tin and comes away easily. There is a noise like a... Yeah. I should have... There is a noise like rumbling, thundering. The stones above shift perceptibly. Quickly you put your sword away before you bring the rocks down on your head. Cast a spell. Rock it. Maybe too late now. We'll try. You craft the spell across a handful of stone dust, and you feel the potential of magic entering into your palm. You have a few seconds to decide what to do with it. Yes, chuck it on the metal. Wait, no, I should have probably done that earlier before dislodging the ceiling. Now I might toss the dust. Yeah, rocks fall on my head. No. You toss the stone dust at the soft metal that fills the stone crack. It bonds instantly, and soon the cracks themselves have turned to stone, healing the join. Whether this will be enough to protect Ilfira's home, you cannot be sure. I'll look at the blank stone. I don't think it will have mended the messages that were carved in, but it might make it easier to read them. You squat down to look at the blank stone, but see nothing. It is natural rock, only remarkable because every other surface has been etched or carved. Above the blank section is drawn a rude outline of a snake, followed by a hand and two vertical lines. Snake, hand, two lines. What would that be? What other options do I have here? It's probably the same ones, right? It's strange how the tower spirals away from the map as... So how far rock sun, right? Oh! Wait. Two Fs. Far. And... far rock sun fog. I don't think... You head back out of the cave. You've found two new clues. Have I? What were they? The sorceress Bria lives in an old volcano. It is said she has a way to travel east. You were given advice. Do not eat from the larder of frog. You were given advice. In the dark chamber of night, do not light your way with the blood candle. So be it. I think that Dark Chamber of Night feels like a Book 4 clue, but that wouldn't make a lot of sense in the way that this was released as a separate game. It feels like it should be a little more self-contained, because the clue might not carry on into the next book. You return from the rear of the cave. The light from your sun jewel pulses twice and fades. Elfira is still here, squatting in one corner and rocking quietly. I'll ask her about the glyphs. What do the symbols on the walls of the cave mean? She shakes her head slowly. Too much to see, she murmurs. Not enough space. Her voice fades once more. Not enough space in her head to comprehend it all. You leave the old woman to her mumblings. She did say to come back here. I'm not sure she meant this place. Or at least not at this time. Oh! Wait. The sorceress Bria has a way to go back. Or a way to send away things she does not like. She could send me back here, potentially, if I asked her and said, can you send me to this this woman in the cavern, the seer, right? Now, where can I go from here? I don't seem to have options. That doesn't feel right, does it? You step out of the cave and onto the stairs. The view below is quite giddying. You are one step from plunging to the pit floor. The steps continue in both directions, otherwise you could return to the cave. Well, obviously I want to go down. Climbing up, I don't think there's much I can get up here. That will be of help to me. So... Ow! That was a misclick. No, I want to go. Look, I want to go. I can just do this, right? I can go... Look, it was just... there, right? Otherwise, you could return to the cave. Absolutely, I will go back down. Not worth casting a spell to get down at this point. You're at the base of the cliff. The sun lowers towards the horizon. It'll be dark soon. The grass meadow ends by the cliff base, and the carved stone steps that lead away from the Baklands. I will not climb the steps. Instead, I will move on. Now, I do want to be making progress. I need to turn this to the bridge. I will cut straight across because it will be quick. Wait. Here. This is a good place to go as well. Alright, alright, alright. Let's try and pretend we're being thorough. The road leads away from the shadow of the cliff. The sun has all but gone. Soon it'll be dark. The view across the plain is clear. You continue on your journey. Abso-flippin-lutely. Oh no! No, as the beacon moved, You continue following the road. As you walk, the paving improves. It becomes smoother. Darkness closes in. You need to rest, especially after so long walking with an empty belly. You follow the road onwards. Well, guess where I could go? I can rest here again, right? So, Fishtail Rock, I will rest in the cave. You make your way inside the cave and find a dark and safe corner. Laying your pack down on the rocks, you try to rest despite the strange noises that float across the landscape. You have not eaten today, but you have no provisions. Only 2 vials of healing blimberry juice. I'll go without resting tonight and then proper rest tomorrow. You stretch out and rest. You are protected here, and your rest is untroubled by dreams. Sleep will not heal you if you've eaten. I don't need healing, but I may still be damaged by the lack of sleep. You met Elfira the Mystic. Lovely. When morning comes, you step back out into the empty plain. Sunlight falls into the cave mouth, picking out the message carved in the wall. That's okay, that's lovely. And I am going to go this way. Allegedly being thorough, in theory, starving to death. You walk along the uneven stones until you find level ground, a road. The early morning sun makes the air glow. The east-west road into the mountains branches north here. In the elbow of the junction is a small stone idol. I will look at it. You pause to look down at the idol, which was definitely not here before. The stone appears to have been carved into the shape of an iguana. It stands upright on its tail, fingers splayed. A pictograph in the old hand is written beneath. I'll read it. The pictograph reads Sorceress. The fingers of the gecko, you notice, are pointing eastwards up the mountainside. Exactly where I think I should go, but I'll touch it. Maybe it'll teleport me there. You pause to touch the idol, but receive no particular blessing from it. Perhaps its purpose is merely to inform. You continue to walk. Absolutely I do. The rocks underfoot soon turn into a slope, and then the slope gets steeper until the going is hard and you are heaving for breath. The day is likely to be clear and will be hot once more. The path quickly leads into an area of light forest, which covers the hillside with light shade. Animals scurry through the undergrowth and birds fly overhead. It is the most life you have seen since you left Khare. From up ahead you hear a repetitive beating sound. I'll listen. The noise is loud and regular, accompanied by the occasional cry. It seems to be coming from somewhere close, a little way to the north. I'll forage for rations and provisions. You ignore the sound for a moment and leave the path for a few steps, pushing through the undergrowth and scouring for fruits and roots that might be edible. Eventually you find a small plant with light purple berries. I'll cast a spell. Sus would make sense here, right? Oh, that's a lot of options. Well, that W goes nowhere. Tell? Whose mind am I going to read? Have I ventured towards the beating? How and hot? Sus. Just to be on the safe side. Reaching up to the stars, you create the magic and a familiar, calm voice begins to speak to you. The voice suggests that this place is quite safe. Then the spell fades. I'll taste a berry. You pick a single berry and place it in your mouth. The taste is bitter and sour. I'll eat it. You swallow the berry and wait. Nothing happens. I'll pick a handful of them. You collect a decent amount of the berries. A few are squashed, staining your hands with bright blue colour. I'll eat them now. You eat another handful now. They are sweet and quite nourishing. Oh, so maybe the first one had just gone off a bit. You push on through the trees, using the beating noise to cover the sound of your steps. You can follow the sound, or go... Ooh, 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 will there be something? I mean, it sounds like someone's being tortured, maybe, right? I should have time to come back this way. Yeah. You leave the main path and follow the sound. The sun disappears from view and you step into the trees. On all sides, the ancient forest looms up. This was a light forest a while ago. Now it's like a thick, heavy forest. A few clouds boil in the sky. You follow the sound of blows through the trees until you come across a clearing thick with knotted grass. On the far side stands a tall, wiry creature who wields an enormous axe. Whatever it is, it has not seen you. His attention seems to be focused on a nearby tree. I'll watch. You stop and watch as the creature raises its axe high, then swings it into the bark of the nearby tree. It is a woodsman. A tall, bent creature with eyes on stalks and long, pliable arms that it uses to swing between tree branches. By one tree is a discarded water gourd, presumably belonging to the creature. I could pick it up and steal it. That doesn't feel very honourable. I think I'm going to approach. Greetings, you say, striding out into the clearing. The creature turns to face you, swinging the axe carelessly onto its shoulder. It looks you up and down with its prehensile eyes. Who are you? I am a sorcerer. Ugh, the creature replies with a deep nasal grunt. And what are you? It asks when you are a little closer, and it can focus on you clearly, reaching down as it speaks to pick up the water gourd and sling it around its neck. I am from Analand. The creature looks blank. There is no such place, it replies. I know this valley and these hills like I've lived here all my life. I have lived here all my life. There is no such place as Analand. It is far beyond the valley. The creature smiles as though it believes you are mocking it. What are you doing here? You ask. The creature regards the tree stump next to it. I was cutting down a tree, it replies. That's what I was doing. The woodsman points at your blue-stained hands with a claw. I see you've been grubbing in the berries. You know they're poisoned, don't you? The spell didn't tell me they were poisoned. You're joking, right? I feel well enough. Ah, well, it'll get you later. Then he cracks a smile. Everything'll kill you in the end. That's a fine gourd you have there. The creature shrugs. If you like gourds, it replies, I have about 22. That's an impressive collection. Your kind is easily impressed, the woodsman replies matter-of-factly. Tell me about the 7 serpents. He probably knows nothing about them. The creature frowns. I don't know anything about serpents, it says. I know about beetles. As though on cue, a small insect crawls out of the bark of the half-cut tree, and the creature scoops it up with its tongue. You've had enough of talking to this imbecilic creature, and turn to leave the clearing. You walk back through the trees and rejoin the main path. The trees echo with bird song. You push on through the trees. The trees thin out, leaving only bare rock. As the sun climbs towards its zenith, the winds pick up. Well then. Are there 2 ways to progress? Can I use this sorceress to go east and the bridge to go north? That's probably the case. This is once perhaps the cone of a volcano. Now it is a wide, dusty stone bowl, but it is not empty. In the centre stands a circular dwelling with a steeply pitched canvas roof. You glance around the wide pit of the old volcano, but there is little to be seen. No doubt the ash mixed with the dust is what makes the forest you saw on the slopes so lush and verdant. At least it seems fairly unlikely the volcano will erupt again. Cold winds claw at your skin. I'll make a move, and if the sorceress up here fireballs me, I'll cast Dock to counter it. I've just been told how to, right? The wind whistles across the top of the mountain. It's almost as if I've been primed to come to this location when I should... I want to go across the bridge, but I want to explore here. You approach the hut. Its walls are made of painted wooden planks, well set into the rock below. This is no temporary shack or traveller's tent. A little thin smoke is rising from the shack. If this is the centre of the volcano crater, then there could literally be smoke coming up from the volcano, steaming, right? And the hut could be built around that and using the thermals to heat it. I'll knock on the door. You approach the door and knock. From inside, a wizened old voice calls, "You're late!" A few loose stones tumble over the sheer drop to the east and disappear. Well then, I'd better head inside. Intrigued by the voice's words, you open the door and step inside the low hut. Inside the hut, your vision is lost in gloomy darkness. "Let us suppose," a croaking voice declares, "that I am a sorcerer, and you are a sorcerer too. Do you know which of us is the more powerful?" "There is no contest," you declare. "It is I." "Oh, really? That's not what I was going with at all. There's no contest. It's obviously you." "Just so," replies a voice. A moment later there is a snatch of music, and suddenly your legs and arms jerk upwards, then fall still. "I know that spell. Why would I draw my sword? What was that?" "That was jig." There is another burst of music, and your legs begin to kick and pirouette you around. You are dancing. "I'll beg for forgiveness. I know this spell. Stand still ain't gonna work." "Please, forgive me for my arrogance," you attempt to cry, but you are dancing so hard you are quite breathless, and the only sounds you utter are the occasional ha, ha, yeah, in time to the music. "I see you are not powerful enough to counter that," the voice remarks. The music stops, and you collapse into a nearby chair. "I do not know that counter." You hear the speaker rise and approach. A wizened, calloused hand is offered. "It is straightforward enough. The spell of clumsiness is negated by that of dancing, but calm yourself. I mean you no real harm. Welcome. I'm getting more counterspells." "I'll shake the hand." You shake the hand, expecting a trick, but none comes. Gentle light is filling the hut, and you can now see the sorceress, a woman so ancient that her features are lost within a mesh of wrinkles. She smiles as you look at her. "I could be anybody under all these years, could I not?" she remarks. "Are you the one I met in the cave?" "Probably not. Who are you?" She smiles. "My name is Bria. I am a sorceress once of High Zaman, though I left that place some time ago. You are welcome." "You're from High Zaman? I'm not going to presume an alliance." "I trained in the fortress, as all the true sorcerers of this land do," she nods. "You were worried, but please, the Archmage of the fortress was not always as he is now." "Indeed. Do go on. Can you tell me of the Archmage?" you begin. She nods. "Imagine, if you will, a country of great peace and prosperity, ruled over by a group of wise and powerful sorcerers and sorceresses. They tended the fields, managed the weather, healed the sick. They chose their leader by an arcane process. Any child from a land might become that leader and be taught their role from an early age. The Archmage is their leader. Their leader is the Archmage indeed, and when a new leader is found, the title moves on. A simple system, but an esoteric one. She sighs. Imagine the Archmage as a peacemaker, teacher, but also a thinker, a discoverer of many secrets of the stars. He looked too far, this Archmage. And what do you mean by that? You continue. I was his far-seer, she says. He asked me to see further, deeper than anyone had seen before. He sought to protect the land, so I looked 1,000 years ahead. But I will not tell you what I saw. It did no good to him nor me. She gestures for you to sit down and take a seat. Yes, takes a seat herself. Well, Bria, maybe you have a crystal ball I could borrow. What future did he see? You demand. She looks uncomfortable at the moment, then decides to answer. Stranger, what future do you suppose he saw? The one you are living? You are on your way to kill the Archmage, are you not? I seek to recover the crown. Whether he survives or not is... well... She narrows her eyes suspiciously at you. Esoteric ways, she replies, and will say no more on it. The old woman stands suddenly and goes over to a side table. Tea? Thank you. I can't entirely trust her, but she nods and boils a pan of water by holding it between her palms for a moment. She drops a pat of goat butter in and stirs it around, then pours out 2 ceramic cups. I'll wait for her to drink. I won't swap the cups. You take the cup in your hand and watch her carefully. She catches your eyes and laughs. Concerned? Perhaps. You reply. Very well, she replies, and she leans back and sips from her cup. Then I shall do... I'm not going to swap the cups while we're holding them. She'd kind of notice, right? Oh, wait. Is she drinking from my cup? When I'm watching to see if she drinks from hers, well, I'll drink from mine then. You lift the cup to your lips and drink deep. It is warm and rich and refreshing. Well, I'll ask about herself. It would be rude to just avoid that topic entirely. Tell me of yourself, you ask, sipping at your tea. She seems almost to blush, ancient veins lighting up for a moment like a blown coal. There is little more to know. I lived in the fortress for most of my life, but came here in my old age. She winces suddenly. Hot tea is dripping from a crack in her teacup. Cheap pottery rubbish, she grumbles, digging for a small pot of glue from a box and repairing it. While she's drinking from it? She leaves the glue pot on the table. I will blatantly take that because I can use it for a spell. May I? You ask, gesturing at the small pot of glue. The sorceress shrugs. You pick it up and put it in your pack. The sorceress watches you with some amusement, for you cannot think why. Is it going to leak all over my stuff? She stands. I am tiring of you. You should go, she says bluntly. But first, she raises a finger and points. One more thing, the woman adds. If you're travelling to High Zaman to face the Archmage, hadn't you best know a little of the higher functions of magic? You speak of countering. Good, you know of it. You know of it, she smiles. It can take a lifetime to discover the pairings and to master them, but I can show you something simple. She raises a finger adorned with a wide collection of rings. One, made of green metal, begins to pulse, but she does not fire right away. She's giving you a moment to react. Green metal. What would a ring of green metal do? Okay, I think I've passed most of the... Now, given that the original way the series was written was to only look at the spellbook at the beginning of book 1, this is an extreme memory test. Right. Green ring. Zip. Allows the caster to teleport a short distance. Transportation can occur through soft materials such as wood and clay, but not through stone or metal. So she's teleporting herself, she's not teleporting me. Unreliable and can have disastrous results. Right, so... I mean... It's not teleporting me, right? It's teleporting her. Particular illusion? No. So. Then. Fix would be... I think I've been given the glue for a reason, right? Nip. Stone dust. I'm out of stone dust now. Firewater. Jewel of gold. Gold-backed mirror. Black face mask. I mean, mud. But I should keep the sand for the fire serpent. Gum. Casting this spell in a vial of glue will cause the glue to become super sticky, sufficient to stick creatures to the floor or to walls by throwing the vial to creatures' feet or by resting it on top of the floor so that it falls. Which the door is opened. When the door is opened. Right, yes. Gum may be the option here. I should absolutely cast a spell. G. U. M. Or even if it's just gluing myself so she can't teleport me away, but she can't teleport herself. Right. You weave the constellations into a pattern around you and toss the glue at your own feet. You feel it binding your boots to the floor. The sorceress smiles as she completes her spell, firing at you with a green-ringed finger. Did I mess it up? You stare her face in the face. You stare her magic in the face, but nothing happens. Bria the sorceress nods. Very good. Every magic has a counter magic. The magic of gluing counters the pattern of teleportation. Your own spell has evaporated as well. Your boots move freely once more. Prepare yourself, Bria declares. She shows you an open palm filled with rock dust. I don't know the counter spell for this one. Let's see. Something to make something really soft. Fall. Float in the air. Makes something light, right? And rock is heavy. It won't be jig, because we know jig is a counter by dumb. Wall. I mean, look. I can create an invisible wall or a force field, right, to stop her throwing the stuff at me. That should work, but... Ooh, that was weird. Dim. Stupidity. I don't think that's going to be it. So we've got dim. Fall to make us light. Wall would put... Right. Huff will blow it right back at her. possibly turning her into stone. Do I know a spell that is likely to be really helpful? Hot. Cast jig. Yep. Six would be great if I could have that. Jig. Gob. Nah. Doze. So I need something that is the anti-rock, right? Oh, just cast mad. Mud? Mud! Pool of quicksand would be the opposite to rock, right? I mean, I'm really tempted by Huff, right? Okay, let's see what other options are available. Telling her I don't know the counterspell. I sense she's toying with me. I don't think she's trying to destroy me. But I think she's going to say, well, tough, you better work it out. So, wall again. Huff. Okay. Dim. Jig. Lively dancing, right, would be count as dumb. So it's got to be something else, right? Okay. F-A-L. Yeah. It depends. Are we considering the rock to be on the... Oh, G. Yeah. Okay. Okay, right. Jig. Yeah. So L. L. Okay, no. We're just going back to the beginning again. Okay. H, F, J, W, D. So huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your dust away. Jig to dance. Wall to block with a... Is it invisible or... Yeah, an invisible wall, which should then turn stone and I presume be very visible. Ruin the middle of our hut. Huff. Yeah, I'll go huff. This feels like the correct choice. You cast the enchantment, pulling out the gale horn, intending to blow the rock dust away, but you cannot complete the spell fast enough. The witch tosses her rock dust over you and begins to wind her spell. I fear this may hurt, she remarks, but if it is any consolation, you will make an excellent addition to my statue garden. I'd better cast another spell then. Okay. Wall was probably it. Do I have a different selection or the same selection? H. So half again. Probably not good. This kind of makes sense, right? Okay. If she's still working on her spell, dim. Yeah, I've failed and turned into stone, haven't I? Looking to the constellations overhead, you craft the spell, hoping to addle the sorceress into confusion. It does no good. Bria's spell takes hold. You feel yourself stiffening up as though drying out after a swim. Your skin becomes taut and your eyes fix into a stare. You feel suddenly terribly cold. You've been turned to stone. Well, yes, obviously. Your adventure is at an end. Well, obviously... that didn't end well. So. No contest. I suspect that telling her I don't know the counterspell isn't going to help, especially as she was seriously trying to turn me into stone. So, we know what that was. Beg for forgiveness. I've shown politeness. Now, don't know that counter, and she tells me clumsiness. Right. So the question is, ask about the Archmage all the way. I look too far. What do you mean? What future did he see? Asking about the future that he saw might have been a tipping point, might have made her decide to kill me, or she might have been planning it all along. Teach me one counter to get me with another. So. Thank her for the tea. Wait. Perhaps. It's less open than just saying straight up I don't trust you. Drink the tea. Ask about herself, which means I don't get to ask about the 7 serpents. Ask to take the pot of glue. I'm going to bloody need it. You speak of countering. Yeah, absolutely. She's going for that, so I'm going to go... Zip is what she's casting, and I want that's not it. Yep. She's not an animal. Okay. I literally just did this a few minutes ago. Gum. Right? Okay, good. Opens a palm filled with rock dust. Cast a spell. My options are limited. I mean, I think wall would make the most sense, right? But it doesn't make sense as a logical counter. It makes sense to just stop her throwing the stuff over me. So dim isn't going to be it. Huff isn't going to be it. I think fall. All right. Foul. Oh, it worked. You cast the enchantment, feeling your body weight shifting to a mere fraction of normal just as Bria's spell of petrification begins to take hold. The two forces, one turning you to air, the other to stone, fight within you, but with decreasing force, moment by moment. Eventually, your body returns to normal. Bria nods. Yes, indeed. The spell of lightness is countered by that of petrification. The sorceress sits down once more. You have learned enough, she declares. You must leave, but not without a gift. She slides the ring of green metal from your finger and holds it out to you. Are you certain? She nods. It is no trap. I have been fair with you this far. I will not change it now. I will take it, because I know what it can do. You take the ring with a nod and slide it onto your finger. You feel a pulse through your veins. I wish you well, she says. Now be gone. Very well. You bid Bria farewell and leave the hut. Chill winds slice at your cloak. I will bugger off out of here. A few stones clatter away over the eastern slope. Still getting out of here. You head back over to the mountain pass. There is strong and generous magic here, as often occurs high up. No, I'm still leaving. Smoke pulses from the hut. Yeah, look, leaving? She told me to leave. I ain't going back there. You head back down the hillside. Yeah. Hillside. Leaving. And I intend to sleep in the cave once more. The slope is windswept. You trudge onwards. The mid-afternoon heat floods the valley. The trees echo with bird song. You push on through the trees. I would very much like to return to the tower. You climb down the mountain to join the road. The sun is beginning to lower. The air begins to cool. You're at the road junction once more. The idle indicates the road uphill. I don't care. I'm moving. You stride forwards. Yes, I do. You scramble back down the slope to the rocks. Slowly, the sun begins to make its way back down the sky. You're back by the cave in the fish-tail rock. That's okay. I'm moving. You continue on your way. Absolutely. The girl by the whirlpool's looking for a new fool. I know Bob Dylan. What? How? What? You make your way over the grass-covered rocks and boulders, following the trail where you can and scrambling the rest of the way. The sun is sinking. Rocks litter the path. You approach the whirlpool cautiously once more. As you consider the whirlpool, a creature in an all-covering hood loops into view. It is carrying something tightly in one hand, though you cannot make out what. I will shout a warning. You can see the stranger approaching the whirlpool, so quickly you grab them by the arms and haul them backwards. In surprise, they drop whatever they were holding, and the whirlpool sucks it away. The creature begins to shout in a language you do not recognize. I will cast a spell, starting with a Y. And it will say, you stupid bloody idiot, that was a wand I was going to use to dispel the whirlpool and stop it being a threat. Apparently animals? Grabbing the wig from the pack, you put it on your head and weave the spell, but this spell is intended to work on animals, not on intelligent creatures, so it has no effect. Because casting your spell has caused you to open your arms, releasing the creature. It dusts itself down. I'll apologize. You raise your hands in apology, demonstrating that you mean it no harm. Grumbling, the creature shambles away westward, knocking into you as it goes. I'll follow it. You follow the creature along the road, but you have only gone a short way when it seems to vanish from your sight into the mists. You step back to the whirlpool to decide where to go next. I'm leaving. What a waste of time that was. You march on. Onwards or back? Onwards, to the tower, where I will focus the beam on the broken bridge and send it into the past. You set off a thick grintweed. I am climbing up that tower. Moving on up. Moving on up, climbing the gripweed. Up the tower! Should have probably done this earlier. I am absolutely going to adjust the beam. Well, hey, look. I totally want to be looking at that bridge and mending it and getting as far that way as I possibly can and then leave it like that. Wait, no, that's dumb. Because there's also this thing, right? Do I want that statue in the past or the future? I'll look at the view. The view is now partially lit by the beam of the tower, and a different land appears in its light. Birds fly, gentle wind stirs pollen in the haze. I'm going down. Maybe I want that statue in the future, I don't know. With the beacon blazing away, you swing yourself over the battlement once more. The climb down is easier this time, absolutely. I think I should have seen it in the past, at least in the future at least once. Wait. You clamber back down the outside of the tower, time to rejoin the road. Checking through your pack, you suddenly stop short. Something, the cloth skull cap, is missing. Well, I'll look for it. Oh, that creature stole it. You look around but see nothing. And I should have used the spell with the cloth skull cap instead of the thing to... should have used tell instead of... Yeah. No hole in your pack. Think back. Yeah, we know what happened. You think back, racking your brains, then you remember the creature by the whirlpool who knocked into you as it walked away. A pickpocket! Revenge will be mine. Do I need to adjust the beam? Lifting your voice to the god of grace, you vow vengeance should you ever encounter the hooded creature again. But nothing changes as a result of your cursing. You will have to find the creature should you wish to recover the skull cap. I'd better climb that Wait. No, the light comes down this way. It's all good. You walk on across the prairie until you join an old road. Another night begins. You should try to find a place to sleep. Look, I've got back to the tree across the plain. You thief, you bloody thief. You step off the well-paved road and cut across the now bone-grey plain. The moon moves slowly across the sky like a lidless eye. You crest a low rise and look down across the barren wastes, offering something of a view. I will look north. Looking north, a dark, deep gash seems to cut across the land. This must be a fissure of some kind. I look east. To the east, the road makes a loop past the foothills of the Badu Back Ridge, passing an unusual spiked rock formation. And to the south, you can make out the tree lifting dead branches to the grey sky. And that is all there is to see. You continue to walk. Well, look, I've got vengeance to be taking here. You make your slow way across the endless wastes. More stars come out. You stride onwards despite the dark. Well, that didn't work. You carry on trampling across the dusty plains, keeping your eyes and ears open for warnings of danger. The stars are flooding the sky. The dark wastes stretch away in all directions except to the west. I'll rest here. And the fire snake must be coming. I took damage for trying to rest? You stretch out on the plain, trying to get comfortable on the bare stone, when suddenly something hot punches you in the back. You leap to your feet to find that you have been badly burned by a jet of steam erupting from the ground. There is clearly no way to rest here. You must keep walking. Okay, what's gone wrong with the bridge I mended? The dead of night is still and cold. As you cross the endless grass, the sound of rushing water begins to fill your ears. A river, and by the sound of it, a far more rapid and turbulent one than the sluggish Jabaji in Khare. After half an hour, you have reached the water's edge. A majestic stone arch rises high into the air as it crosses the river here. A bridge! I will look at the bridge. You gaze up at the impressive stone bridge. It is like a lump of pure shadow. The craftsmanship is incredible. The whole thing seems to have been carved from a single colossal block of stone, perhaps from the cliff face behind itself, and then lowered perfectly into place across the fissure. What manner of creature would be capable of such a feat? The rushing water throws cold spray in your face. Well, look, I want to go see that statue. Each step of the bridge would require an effort to climb. Otherwise, the road leads away, well paved to the curving little way to the east. Yeah, look, I have spells for the bridge, right? You've gained one provision and met Bria the sorceress. Oh, I've walked through the night. You follow an old road. In the distance, the sun breaks over the horizon. You have been awake all night and are weaker for it. The road begins to trace the course of a nearby river which leaps with fish and birds. You pass a large stone totem. I will look at it. The totem depicts a short, toothy creature with no hair and with several ringed earrings. in one lobe. Not a god, but a god or goddess's helper creature, the type that invisibly moves a sword point aside should the powers above dictate it. It leers at you with two wide eyes above pursed lips. I'll touch the eyes. You brush your fingers over the eyes. There is no click, no sting, no sense of energy. Perhaps this totem truly is made of stone. The totem's eyes seem to glint a little. Yeah, I think I should have seen this in the future instead of the past. You pause, remembering the ritual of Khare and the terrible price of incorrect worship. What if this totem is a trap? The mouth is slightly open. There is a darkness inside. The lips feel slightly sticky to the touch, as if someone else has... I'll risk it. Yeah, am I dead? I'm dead, aren't I? You lean down and kiss the totem on the lips. There is a quiet click and you feel a sting at the back of your throat. A choke, cough, spit. It's got to be a choke, hasn't it? You begin to hack and wheeze, hoping to get whatever has entered your mouth back out, and after a few moments a bee flies out. Then a second bee flies out of the totem's mouth, followed by 2 or 3 more. They disappear up into the air and away towards the sun, where you can see a field of flowers. Sorry, away towards the south. You gasp with relief. The bee in your mouth did not even sting you. Do I have... What pipe? What pipe? There's been literally no mention of a pipe at all here. You take the bamboo pipe from your pack and slide it into the totem's mouth. It is just narrow enough to fit. You feel it stick into something. Suck on the pipe, blow. I will remove the pipe. You pull the pipe from the hole. The far end is tipped with honey, which you lick off before putting the pipe away. A light meal, but still good. Put the pipe back in. Suck on the pipe. You place your lips to the pipe and suck. A moment later you are coughing again and spitting out a bee. Okay, fine, no. Blow on the pipe. You blow sharply on it and then remove the pipe. Remove it. Okay, fine. Look at the river. Yep. Nothing happening here. Back to the bridge I go then. I will climb up the bridge, possibly with the aid of a spell. Not with the aid of a spell. You haul your way up the first few steps of the bridge until you are standing above the water. The spray throws rainbows in the sunlight across the endless grass plains on either side. You can see for miles in either direction, the tower to the east and the grassy plains ahead. For the briefest moment, the nose of a narwhal appears from the surface of the river. Then it is gone, dragged away by the current. I'll look at the tower. Looking back at the tower, you see the brass object gleaming in the sunlight. Strange, thin light pours from the end. Looking across the plain, you see barren wastes once more. In the far distance, a group of horses are steaming across the plain at wild speed, their riders thrown from side to side. Then, in a cloud of dust, they are gone once more. You move onwards. So yeah, I wonder if I could have chased the pickpocket if the light had been in a slightly different position. Either way, once I've crossed this bridge, I can't reposition the tower beacon to very much further over here without destroying the bridge again. So unless there's another beacon further ahead, which I doubt, but it could happen, I should just commit to this. The day is likely to be clear and will be hot once more. You cross the bridge, wary at each step, then the ancient stone... wary at each step that the stone will collapse underneath you, but they hold firm all the way across and you reach the far side. The grassy plains stretch away once more. Behind you the river roars and screams. The mighty bridge leads back across the river from here. You waste no time. You must explore these fields further, but that, I feel, is something I'm going to have to do in the next episode. I hope you've all enjoyed this one, somewhat longer than intended, and I do look forward to seeing you all in the very next episode. I'm going to say goodbye for now, though, and cheerio, everyone! See you all next time.